There's an old saying that if you do not heal from what hurt you, you'll end up bleeding on others who haven't cut you. Let's talk about it on this episode of the Joker the King podcast. What's good, party people? Welcome to episode 20. We made it to episode 20 of the Joker the King podcast. This is a special episode because we're going to talk about one of the foundational pieces of healthy manhood, and that is men and their relationship to trauma. Men, you have to learn how to heal from your trauma, all that childhood trauma, adult trauma. That's what we're going to talk about today. But before we get into this episode, I want to give a big shout out to one of the most amazing nonprofit organizations I've heard. It is Morris Young Legacy House. The Morris Young Legacy House Incorporated is a nonprofit organization that caters to the holistic wellness of human beings through free mental health therapy, free physical trainers to help you get into shape, free mentors to help you with your goal setting. All of it just by being a part of this program. I don't know how they do it, but they do it. I am glad to partner with the Morris Young Legacy House. Great partnership, a way to expand the Joker the King message and the My Legacy House message as well. So it's going to be an awesome partnership. To find out more about them, look for Morris Young Legacy House everywhere, on Google, on YouTube, on Instagram. Find them. They are an awesome organization, and they're having their very first fundraiser on April 1st. They are partnering with the Universal Domino League to have their very first Dominoes tournament hosted by Interstate Vodka. And April 1st, in the city of Glendale, California, their very first fundraiser supporting the efforts of Morris Young Legacy House. Okay, now let's get into this Joker the King episode. We're talking about men and the need to heal from trauma. Now, men healing from trauma is a very, very important topic, and these wounds, these traumatic wounds, can impact men's mental health, physical health, their relationships, and their overall well-being and success in life. Okay, and so that's what we're going to do. We're going to explore the importance of healing from trauma and the challenges specifically that men face when getting help to deal and manage with this trauma. So let's take a look at the first idea here. The first idea is the reason why it's important for men to heal from trauma is because of the lifelong mental and emotional disastrous outcomes that can come from not healing from what hurt you. Right? If you don't heal from what hurt you, you can end up bleeding all over people who haven't cut you. Those relationships that you have as an adult are going to be impacted by the trauma that you haven't healed from in the past. Okay? Trauma is not abuse or neglect or a horrible event. Trauma is the response to those things. Okay, trauma is not the event. Trauma is the response to the event. It's the way that you emotionally and physically respond to horrible events happening. And the reason why it's so important to heal from this trauma is so that you can reconcile all of those experiences that you've had in the past so that they don't filter into your relationships in the present and in the future. You also want to not let it lead to depression, anxiety, PTSD, substance abuse. All of these things are negative outcomes from unresolved trauma. So you want to make sure you move towards healing. The other thing that I want to say specifically about men and trauma is that the number one challenge that men face is the stigma of professional help, the stigma of therapy, the stigma of healing from emotional and spiritual and mental depression, stress, anxiety. In our culture, we still have this expectation that men should be strong and that they should tough it out. We don't allow men to express themselves. Men are more reluctant to express themselves and show vulnerability, right? And this can make it difficult for men to seek help. This can make it difficult for men to talk about their experiences. If the only emotion that men are allowed to express in this culture is anger and rage, then we are going to have a problem. Let me repeat that. If the only emotion that men are allowed to express is anger or rage, we are going to continue to have a serious problem. Men are 3 to 4 times more likely to commit suicide. They are more likely for their depression and their stress and their anxiety to be pushed into violence. These things need to be reconciled if we are going to have healthy manhood. Let me give some strategies, some practical strategies on what you can do. 4 things you can do in order to move toward healing from trauma. Step number 1 is seek professional help. Okay? A therapist or a licensed counselor can provide that help, that safe, supportive environment to help you process this trauma. Okay. Number 2, find that support network. You have friends or family who are rooting for you. Friends, family, they want to see the best version of you. If you don't feel comfortable talking to your friends about what's bothering you, you may have to reevaluate those friends, because your friends should want the best for you. And if you don't have that support network, guess what? You got me. Okay? You can always find me, send me a message either on Instagram or on the Joker the King website. You can join that Joker the King community. Our Joker the King community is growing. I just looked at our email list. It is getting bigger and bigger and bigger by the week. We have a network of men who will support you through your healing. Contact us. Step number 3 for your healing, practice self-care. Now, when we think of the word self-care these days, we usually think about women relaxing in a bubble bath with smooth jazz music playing and a bottle of champagne. Self-care does not necessarily mean that. Self-care is about doing what you need to do to regulate your nervous system, doing what you need to do to bring yourself back into this rest and calm and relaxed state. You may need to meditate. You may need to exercise. You may need to take your dog on a walk. You may need to sit on the ground and do push-ups until failure. You may need to do whatever it is that you know that you need in order to bring yourself back to a state of calm. That's what self-care means. Don't get caught up in this media definition of self-care, because it can be damaging to your own progress. Okay. And the last strategy I want to tell you is to avoid that negative self-talk. Sometimes we tell ourselves we're not good enough. We believe that we are not good enough. We believe that we are not worthy. We believe so many negative things about ourselves. You need to challenge your own negative self-talk. Okay? The idea is to remind yourself that there is a better version of you as you evolve toward this healthy version of manhood. There is a healthy version of you. You need to keep evolving into that person. Okay? Now, every week, I give a mission, an assignment for you to do. This week, your mission is to go to the Joker the King website and click that link that says advice. Okay? You don't have to leave your name. You don't have to leave your email address. All you need to do is ask a question on that form and it will get answered. Simple. It'll either get answered on that advice page or it'll get answered here in the podcast. But one way or another, your question will be answered. That is your mission for this week. Okay? Healing from trauma is a long journey. You continue on this journey by seeking help, getting that support network, practicing self-care, challenging your negative self-talk. Okay. What I want you to do this week is to really practice these things. Take care of yourself. And while you're at it, take care of someone else. Peace.